my name is Sarah Dady, and I'm a Semester 2 student teacher at East San Jose Elementary School. And I've been working with Miss Melissa in her wonderful kindergarten classroom this semester. And this is my community unit on police officers. Some guiding questions to get us going. For lesson 1, what is a community? For lesson 2, what do you want to be when you grow up? For lesson 3, what roles do police officers have in our community? And for lesson 4, how can we show our appreciation for our community members through art? Lesson 1, learning about our community. This lesson was designed for students to start thinking about community and everyone who plays a role in it. So I began this lesson with an anticipation chart where I asked students to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if they agree or disagree with the following statements. I like to create artwork, art can bring people together, and police officers are good people in our community. I wasn't looking for a right or a wrong answer. I was just looking for students to form opinions, and so I can get a baseline of how students feel for lessons going on. Next, I read the story Maybe Something Beautiful by Isabel Campoy. This is about a young girl named Mira who likes to create artwork, and she hands out her creations to people in her community when her and her mother take walks. In the story, she happens upon a muralist and they begin to paint together, and then eventually involves the entire community in a painting block party. While this painting block party is going down, a police officer approaches them. From the reader's view, you think that they're gonna be in trouble, but instead the police officer asks to join them. And I think that's an important message to bestow upon children, is that police officers are community members and they do want to be involved. They're not always the bad guy. So from there, I asked students questions about story elements and formed more opinions. We had a discussion based on that. And then I asked students to draw me a picture of them reacting to art that they've seen in the community. Lesson 2, community helpers. This lesson is all about community on a small scale, from neighborhood to a continental and a global scale. Students participated in various activities that reinforce the idea of community and where they fit into it. So I began by reading the story, Our Values, My Community by Grace Jones. This was a nonfiction text that gave students information about what community is on a large scale and on a small scale and where they fit into it all. Next, I showed a Scholastic video about community workers, and I asked students to identify jobs from the video. Next, I asked students what they want to be when they grow up, and I asked them to draw me a picture and then explain to me. Students created great work here. I had various answers like police officers, firefighters, architects, mailmen, so I had a large variety. Lesson 3, police officers are community helpers. I began this lesson by having students write the word police officer on a dry erase board. This way we could work on alphabetic recognition and work on our writing skills. After that, I read the story Let's Meet a Police Officer by Gina Bellaroso. This was about a police officer giving a presentation to students, and she identified jobs and roles that she has as a police officer. Next, I showed students In-Depth Police Officer, which was a YouTube video giving us a tour of a police car, the police station, and what police officers do on a day-to-day basis to help keep the community safe. From there, I asked students to identify some of the jobs that they recognized from the story and from the video. And I asked students to draw me a picture of one of the jobs that they saw. And while they worked, I was asking them questions like, where have they seen police officers before in the community? What were they doing? What were they wearing? Just to get ideas forming, and so they could create an entire scene as they drew. Lesson 4, thank you cards to Officer Justin. We started this lesson with a discussion on mannerism for when we have a guest speaker, and then we discussed some questions that could be asked. Students did a great job with this, and I think they learned a lot from the prior lesson to help build on this. So then Officer Justin came and spoke to my students. He was there for about 10-15 minutes, which was developmentally appropriate for this age group. And students asked him questions and got to know him and learned what he does for our community. Afterwards, students created thank you cards that were based on the presentation that Officer Justin gave and what we've been learning about police officers throughout the semester. So here is some of their work that they've created. This one is mine that I made so they could have an example and I could practice my modeling skills. We talked about color elements, and we've talked about people throughout the semester. So I think they did a great job at reinforcing all these ideas that we've talked about before. From there, I took it a step further and we did a literature circle based on the story again, Maybe Something Beautiful. After our literature circle, students were asked to complete a mural representing what police officers and or firefighters do for our community. Up here is a mural that came from the story so students can recall information. And down here is some pre-exercises that I created during their literature circles. And I asked students if they could draw anything on the wall, what would they draw? So I got some landscape photos, I got a dinosaur, I got a mouse. So students really drew what they liked. From there, I had students verbally tell me about their murals and what they were thankful for in regards to police officers and or firefighters, which is another idea we've been touching on this semester. This is my mural, but I gave students ample art supplies to create this. This sheet of paper is about 2 feet by 1.5, so it's super big. And I also gave them a lot of supplies like construction paper, fabric swatches, pipe cleaners, and then they had crayons, colored pencils, watercolors, so they could use whatever art mediums that they wanted to. I just required them to use at least 2. This one's really great too because he involved East San Jose, which is our community, so he brought it all together, which was wonderful. From here, I'm going to show you guys a video that I recorded the students making. I hope you guys enjoy.
For the police, for Texas, and like the robbers in the jail. Police and the police car and the robber, and he's robbing the money, and a police motorcycle, and a dog, and the police station, and the East San Jose school. I'm thankful for Philos and police officers and actual a police officer and then a road and then a car. I'm thankful for the firefighters and the police officers. Firefighter. Hay policía. Señor, hay policía en una casa, en otra casa. A firefighter and then a firefighter cutting out water in the house and in the houses, and then there's a police officer, and then I have a police car, and an officer car, and then a jail, and then I have a police, and then I have a robber.
Wonderful. And will you tell us why you're thankful for firefighters or police officers? Thankful for them.
They saved us from the fire. They get the robbers from robbing your money. I built a firefighter house, and I built a road, and I built a police house, and a bank, and a tree.
¿Por qué estás agradecida?
Good job, Miss Eveline. Beautiful work.
Porque estaban soto.
Nos salvan.
Estaban. A dinosaur eating the whole road, and there's a fight. There's a fire, and the firefighter running out, and the police officer getting